Well, good evening, Vacaville. I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the Vacaville Park and Recreation Commission meeting. Today is June 5th, 2024, and the time is 6 p.m. or thereabout. Secretary Valencia Reyes, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Berman?
Here.
Commissioner Frazier?
Here.
Commissioner McMahon?
Here.
Commissioner Shea? Commissioner Vasquez? Vice Chair Gutierrez? Chair Oz?
Here. So let the record show we have a quorum with 3 absences. Now I'd like everyone to rise and please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So the next item is approval of the agenda. Commissioners, you have the agenda before you. Are there any amendments? I would like to perhaps propose one amendment to the agenda, that we have 3 committee assignments on the agenda, but with only 4 commissioners, but yet 5 positions to fill. I would suggest that we move that to the next meeting and put that on the next agenda.
Motion.
Yeah. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
And second. Great. So I have a motion by Commissioner Frazier and seconded by Commissioner McMahon. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And the motion carries. Next item is approval of the minutes.
Apologize, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
So that most recent motion was for the continuance of item 14. Wasn't sure if the commission had any other changes or was approving the agenda as modified.
I have
Okay.
for the agenda.
So we just approved the agenda. So is there a motion to?
Well, actually, we just approved, do I understand we just approved the appointments on the agenda? So the agenda has not been approved yet, correct?
Gotcha. Okay.
And if I may, if we look at 9B, it shows Youth Sports Advisory Team Chair Vasquez. That should read Commissioner Vasquez. 9C, Performing Arts Theater Show Selection Committee, Commissioner Oz, should read Chair Oz.
Yes. Okay.
Apologize, Chair, there's one more also change for number 11. Our park planner for this evening is Hugh Hesterman.
That will be speaking tonight. Great. So with that, do I have a motion to approve the agenda with the stated amendments?
Motion to approve with the amendments.
Great. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And the motion carries. Great. Next is approval of the minutes for the regular meeting of May 1st, 2024. Does anybody have any revisions to those minutes? Great. And do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion. I'll second.
Great. I have a motion by Commissioner Bruman and second by Commissioner Favor. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed? Motion carries. Next item is communications. Any written communications staff received by for the meeting tonight?
Yes, thank you, Chair. We did receive an email today from a resident outlining some concerns related to the entrance, how you get to the entrance to Playful Park while the construction's happening on Leisure-Town Road. You should all have a copy of that email.
Great. Thank you. Next item is presentations. July is National Parks and Recreation Month. Interim Director Megar Smith, would you like to introduce this item, please?
Sure, thank you, Chair. Tonight we have Jennifer Baker, Recreation Supervisor, here to present on July as National Parks and Recreation Month.
Good evening.
Good evening, Commission. As Georgianne said, my name is Jennifer Baker, and I'm a Recreation Supervisor out of Three Oaks Community Center. And I am here because next month is July, and it happens to be National Parks and Recreation Month. So we wanted to go over some of the programs and events that we have coming up in July. We don't only do these programs and events for July necessarily. We run great programs year-round, but we wanted to highlight a few for you all and hope to see you out there. So starting off, I can't really see all that well. I have it here. 4th of July, we would love to see you guys out at our free concert and fireworks show out at Andrews Park. We also have drop-in, thank you, that helps a lot. Drop-in classes like open gym at our recreation center and then open swim at our Walter Graham Aquatic Center. You can attend classes, sign up for classes like boxing, classes like Teens Paint and Pizza Night, and also Zumba. You can also choose scrapbooking. I mean, we have a little bit of everything for everyone, really. Some events we'd love to highlight. We're about to hit T-ball season, so we have our opening ceremonies happening on July 13th, and we'll have a formal invitation for everybody actually coming up in the next couple of weeks, and love to see you out at that one. We're doing a dive-in movie night at the Walter Graham again. So for our dive-in movie, we have, I think it's called Wish, a new Disney movie. And for that event, you can bring a floaty, you can bring a towel, you can bring, you know, just a chair and sit and watch the movie, but it's a very unique event. So that one's fun as well. We do have a new contract for art. Joyful Art Studios is with us now, and they do like a different art project, different style of art every week. So gets a little something for everybody again. That just about covers it, I think, as far as some of the main highlights. I do have a swag bag for everybody, and it does have this calendar in it, so that'll be a little bit easier to reference than what you're seeing on the screen or the little pieces that I'm sharing with you guys. So thank you for your continued support, and I'm going to go get those swag bags and the cheat sheet for you all. Okay?
Well, Jennifer, before you
Yes.
leave, just I'd like to see if there's any questions from the commission for Jennifer. No?
All right.
Hearing
Thank you
none.
all.
Thank you,
Thank
Jennifer,
you.
for your presentation. Great. The next item on the agenda is public comment. This is the time to address the commission on issues that are not on tonight's agenda and are within the commission's subject matter jurisdiction. There's a maximum of 3 minutes per speaker. Does anyone wish to address the commission tonight on an item that's not on the agenda?
Okay, hi. I'm Joan Marquand Wilsey, and I was the one that sent the email, which you have a copy of. So my concern, which I hope that you have noticed, is trying to get to Play for All Park on Elmira Road, where the construction is impacting that intersection with Leisure Town. So I know it's something that's relatively recent, months or so, but I hope that you could influence the Parks and Recs Department with the coordination with Public Works to get some better signage, especially if we have visitors or people that are trying to get to our new park. And thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Joan.
Hello, you all.
I see a pickleball and
Do you
a
see our
pickleball
Vacaville
racket in your hand.
pickleball? So I'm Darlene. I'm with Vacaville Pickleball, and this is our president of Vacaville Pickleball. And we just want to thank you so much. We are so happy we have beautiful courts in Vacaville. In my lifetime, we were out there We had an unofficial ribbon cutting ceremony on Saturday. It's just incredible. We got teary-eyed because we knew it could happen, but it's real. It's real out there, and we just are so grateful. Our community is going to benefit wonderfully from it. And tennis is happy too. They have 2 beautiful courts. And we play with tennis players on the weekend, and they love the courts too. We did take 2 courts away from them, so they are like, hey, so our goal is still to get as many courts as they need at Centennial with lights, so we don't take anything away from them. But we love it. We are so happy. We do have needs because people are coming to play pickleball on our beautiful courts, right? And we need some rules. So, can we put some basic rules up on the fence? I know it hasn't been done before, but can we set a precedence? Because we only have 6 courts, and we need to let everyone play for a period of time and mix in, right? So simple signage on our courts would be wonderful. And could we have a storage facility, locker or something at the court? Just off the top of my head, that would be a good thing too. We have stuff we could put in there, right? Like a blower, and we don't have to put nets in there. We still give each other a bad time about who's got a net, right? We don't. So I just want to thank you for hearing us, for listening to us, and being so cooperative too, because we had beautiful benches inside our court that won't fit inside the court anymore. So, you're working with us to keep our benches outside the court now. And so thank you for working with us. We appreciate it so much, and we want more.
Great. Thank you. I'm excited for you.
Dovetailing off of what Darlene says, thank you so much. And there were a lot of tears shed, when the gates opened last Wednesday. It was just a beautiful thing. And I don't know how often you guys get thanked, but, it's been surreal. I don't know if you've been out to see them, but they're beautiful. It's beautiful, much more than we had expected. So thank you. The community thanks you. And had a guy say, yeah, I'm coming from Roseville. His friend's coming from Vallejo. We want to meet. What do we do? So, it's going to be, a phenomenal place. We don't get the wind like Fairfield gets. So Fairfield's coming back now. So it's going to be really good. So we really appreciate what you've done for us. And thank you so much.
Great.
Commission, thank you for your time. Well, I'm so excited for them. I think that's awesome. I want to play pickleball. But anyway, so I'm here. I've been serving our community for 10 years for the Vacaville School District, 3.5 years with student re-engagement. That was a hard one. Over close to 400 home visits in our area. Unfortunately, most negative notes. But I recently got back to working with the students in middle school. And let me just tell you, it was such a rewarding experience to see these children, these middle schoolers, especially our newcomers who have been here for less than 2 years. They left their country, their language, their families, their friends. Anyway, so they love soccer. They're just so passionate. And they would 5-minute break, they'd run out there and they put their backpacks and they play for 5 minutes. I'm like, oh my gosh, these kids need some goals, right? So Coach Blair with Air Blair, he's awesome, him and his wife. And I call him, hey coach, you know what? I told him the story. Next day we had some goals. And these kids love it. So after school, okay, they do this all by themselves. They go to Andrews Park and they play. Just whatever they have. So I go, okay, I'm gonna take you to the goals. So here I am after school, and here I am dragging the goals, right? And it's just something that I'm like, you know what? These kids need a place to play soccer. Just some nets, something where they could, I don't have to be dragging them all over Vacaville. And these are our children in District 3. And we all know that District 3 needs help. We all need help, but we don't hear a lot from them. And I know that the city is always wanting to hear more. Let's hear more, let's hear more. Well, this is a great place to start. And I know that you all are here to serve like we all are, and we got to work together and see where the needs are. So anyway, I get emotional. But I invite you to think about it, and if you ever have time, just stop by. It's a wonderful thing to see them, and somebody has to speak up for them. So thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other comments from the public? One more. Nope. Hearing none. So next is item 8, new business. Yes.
I apologize. I wasn't sure if you had closed business from the floor.
Yes, I'm sorry. So we'll close public comment. Thank you, everyone. So moving on to item number 9, Centennial Bike Park Conceptual Plan. Interim Director Megar Smith, would you please introduce this next item?
Sure. This item is actually 8A, and we are excited tonight to have Senior Park Planner Hugh Hesterman and the team from Landify present the Centennial Bike Park Conceptual Plan.
Thank you, Director Megar Smith. Good evening. Very happy to be here in front of you tonight. Most of you, including those who are absent tonight, have been to one of the 2 public meetings, and so you probably recognize the design team that you have here in the room tonight. But just for everyone's benefit, I'm going to introduce them. Would you please go to the next slide? So to my left is Jonathan from Landify. He is the president of Landify here in California and the United States, I might add. So, and sitting in the back row, Heather Crotty. She's the senior environmental manager. She can answer questions about our CEQA process and anything in that regard. We also have Scott Redding here with Helix. He's our project landscape architect. And then off to my right rear is Judd Duvall. He is the bike park specialist designer. And then from our civil engineer's office, we have Mark Polisha to answer any technical questions about that. So we have a little presentation tonight. At the end of this, we're hoping that the bike park component of the Centennial Park Master Plan you will find it ready to approve. But we want to go through the process and describe it for you. So first, Jonathan is going to, some of you have already been exposed to the methodology that we intend to use for constructing this park, but I'm going to let Jonathan do a quick rundown of how that works.
Absolutely. Good evening, everyone. Sorry. So yes, explaining the models. So the company Landify is the subsidiary, the US subsidiary of Group ECT. Group ECT is a European company who was created back in the 70s. And the business model of the company is to create land use developments such as parks, recreational areas, bike parks, any kind of land use development by reusing, upscaling soil, dirt coming from construction works. We've been doing that for the past 50 years in Europe, and we started our activities in the US 3 years ago. We're working on 10 projects in California, very different kinds of projects, bike park, obviously, in Vacaville, but also parks, forests, recreational areas. And really the goal and how the whole model works is fairly simple, and you have it on the next slide. We are funded 100% through the tipping fees we're charging to the people that are coming and depositing soil to us, coming from construction works. We're offering this service, and they come because they see that it's more interesting for them to come rather than going elsewhere. Most of the soil coming from construction works go to quarries or landfills, usually located very far from construction sites. We are sourcing sites and projects located close to where the building is happening or the construction is happening. Thus, we are shortening the distance. And so we are making the construction world make savings in terms of transportation costs, also in terms of CO2 emissions. and we're offering them thus a very interesting opportunity to off-hole the dirt that they have on their construction projects and create something productive for the communities. We are using this soil to create land use developments. You can think of a park as a flat area. We never do. We always create three-dimensional projects, and that allows us to fund those projects through the tipping fees that we're charging. And that's really how we've been operating for the past 50 years, and that's how we intend to operate here in California. We see that there's a very high interest and a very high need to find solutions to recycle, upcycle dirt, and we believe that our model is very useful in that sense.
Well, thank you very much. So just a quick status report of where Centennial Park Master Plan is and how this dovetails in with the presentation tonight. If you may recall, some of you may recall, the Commission approved the overall Centennial Park Master Plan in August of last year. That has spawned kind of a parallel track for completing the CEQA necessary for that entire project, alongside with the design for the for the concept plan for the bike park portion of it. So the bike park portion, and then extending down along the western edge of the areas, all in phase ones, the areas that we think we can construct with a partnership with Landify. And as Jonathan mentioned, it will be utilizing the dirt that is brought onto the site to create the mound that is needed for all the details of the bike park. So we anticipate that the CEQA process will be completed maybe in September, October, somewhere in that realm. And the bike park concept plan is, paralleling that track. We think the plan, or at least we hope, that we can take to Planning Commission the draft CEQA document and also the Park Master Plan for the overall Centennial Park Master Plan shortly after the CEQA draft is completed, maybe November, October, possibly, something like that. And then, assuming that they can find a recommendation to proceed to council with both the Park Master Plan, the final CEQA document, and also an agreement with Landify to construct the first phase, which is the bike park. So that's basically the process, or where the progress is right now. Next slide. Dialing in a little bit tighter, what you have on the screen is the overall Park Master Plan that was approved in August. And in dashed red there, this is the northeast corner. So north is pointing to the right of your screen. It just fits the screen better that way. But the area that's in the dashed red, that is the area that is defined as the bike park area. It's a total of about 33 acres, all told. We will be keeping back from the creek and from the canal a little bit, so make sure we're not causing any concerns there. Next slide. Now, if you look at it from the air, that same red dashed line, this is now looking toward the southeast. So we're looking at it from the opposite way. In the bottom left-hand corner of your screen is the termination of Allison Parkway. That'll be the primary entrance into the bike park, and that the road that you see kind of following, as it were, an extension of Allison, is a maintenance road. Some question has been brought up about whether Allison Parkway will ever meet Allison Drive. The answer is no. That was a plan maybe 30 years ago or 40 years ago. That is no longer envisioned. So that is part of the park, and we have the full use of that with the easements for, there's a sewer trunk line running through there, and a PG&E main line also. In the far distance of the photo, you can see Precision Bicycle on the other side of the canal, and the canal itself just outside of the dashed red. And then off to the right is all the other areas of the park. Next. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So we have, sorry, we have a really nice treat for you today to describe for you what actually is a bike park and what we're envisioning here. So Judd Duval, is going to give the presentation. We'll queue up the video, and then afterward you can certainly ask him any questions. This is from Boulder, a project he designed in Boulder, Colorado. Not at all unlike the one that we're designing. Hopefully it'll start.
I'm happy to take up any Belmont Bike Park that we designed and built for the city of Boulder, Colorado, and one of the leading parks in North America for municipal facilities. This is opening day at the park. This is a 52-acre facility, and just some video that we shot of different skill levels, age groups. You know, it's a very multi-generational opportunity, both for professional level riders and also, you know, kids and grandparents and everyone in between. This is actually, I think this is an excellent showcase for the park that you folks are looking at here. It is, at this point, a little long in the tooth though, and so a lot of things have changed in bike parks over the past 8 or 10 years since this was developed. And we're seeing a lot more asphalt surface pump tracks. We're designing and building one of those for the city of South San Francisco right now, where I came over from today. About to start one for the city of Hayward, for Hayward area recreation district. And you know, just got back from McCall, Idaho, Sunday night, where we're starting a facility out there. And you know, McCall is a very outdoor focused community, and I think they would love to have a partnership similar to what you folks are developing here. The ability to work with someone in Landify's position is very unique. Most of these facilities, you know, all of this is done with about 20 feet of elevation, and what, you know, the design plan is for this facility is much more significant for that. I'd say that the closest bike park that's even somewhat similar to this is in Truckee, and it's a great bike park close to the little General Aviation Airport, but it is nothing compared to what we're talking about helping your community to develop. And so, yeah, happy to answer any questions, but yeah, all yours.
Thank you, Judd. We'll finish up the video, and certainly you can have the opportunity to ask any questions. After this is done, we will present the actual master plan for Centennial Park, the bike park itself. And Scott Redding with Helix will kind of give you a verbal tour of that. So I guess any questions of Judd at this point? You certainly can ask later.
How old is that one track?
When was it built?
Yeah.
That was built in 2011.
2011?
Yep.
And you know what the maintenance is like, taking care of it?
I do. Yeah, there are multiple ways of operating and maintaining a bike park. The way City of Boulder has done it is professional staff, start to finish. No engagement with community groups, no volunteerism. They may have adapted that since then. I really like the idea of adaptive management and hybrid management and maintenance, where we engage with community members, do training. We do need to think about staffing. And so I think that something that Jonathan and I have been speaking about is, and we've developed this for some other clients, as an operations and management plan that can speak more to, I think, where you want to go with these questions, which is, what will our responsibility be over the next 10, 20 years for this to be a sustainable facility? So we have helped to develop, there are a number of different, pretty robust operations and management plan. And depending on which way you want to go, we'd love to work in collaboration with you to to both develop a plan that meets your budget, whatever that may be, develop operations budgets, more revenue from after-school programs and events and that sort of thing. Also, risk management, inspection cycles, and inspection checklists, and a number of other training modules. Can't answer it all right now, but it's certainly
Gives
something
me an
that
idea,
we're-
yeah. Appreciate it. Thank you.
All for this microphone. I'm going to, I guess, look at this one. It's probably easier for everyone to view. But I'll just walk you through some of the overall features of the bike park, and then Judd and Mark can speak to the bike features, the grading, things of that nature. So as Hugh mentioned, by the way, my cats are very upset that I took this evening. We enter at Allison Parkway up to the north end of the site through a gated entry. Through a gated entry, paved road into the site. So that'll serve as emergency vehicle access, as well as take you into the drop-off area with about 4 to 5 ADA parking stalls. The parking for majority of users, non-ADA stalls, will be this parking area up to the west. And it has the ability that we could use this portion here for an overflow lot. So I believe there's about 36, I believe it is, in this lot, 90 in this overflow area. We obviously didn't want parking to become the focus of the site, so we deliberately kind of put it in this area over here. So as you come in, there would be a drop-off here, ADA parking, emergency vehicle access, followed by nature-themed children's playground, large shade structure with picnic tables, benches. From there, and this would all be accessible, by the way, this would also take you to the pump tracks, which, again, I'll leave for Judd to explain, that we have both beginner and advanced. Hugh mentioned the existing maintenance road. We basically are going to maintain that, which will lead to the gated maintenance area, which will have, equipment and supplies in there to maintain the facility. The outer edge of the park will have a 12-foot crushed fine accessible trail that can be used by fire department or emergency vehicle access. Sort of an all-weather trail to get people in and out if they're hurt. One thing we want to mention, the site will be fully fenced on all 4 corners. Obviously, on the north end, it's already fenced. Along the canal, it is as well. But along the Horse Creek Trail and along the west portion, it will be fenced. And that was mainly to minimize motorized vehicles from getting into the site and tearing up the course. I can explain without going into others' avenues. In terms of landscape, we envision most of the areas between here to be kept fairly native. We would do new trees, which would probably be either temporarily irrigated or permanently irrigated, but we wouldn't plant per se every square inch of the site, being 33 acres. So we would probably keep the more traditional landscape, as I call it, to areas like around the picnic area, children's playground, things of that nature. So yeah, maybe I'll turn it over to Mark or Judd to go through the other specifics.
I might take the opportunity to just make a comment about one thing. The fencing that exists out there now along the northern boundary and along the canal will remain as it is. Excuse me. But we're showing on this master plan the location of a fence that could be installed. We don't propose to install it with this phase, but we're identifying where it could be installed if we end up having problems primarily with motorcycles during closed hours. There's a little bit of a problem out at Centennial Park with some off-road stuff going on out there. Judd has shared with us that he doesn't see fencing normally installed at bike parks. And so we're thinking that we can curtail those kind of activities with some mutual respect, some signage, and the fact that we have a ranger. But if it ends up becoming a problem, such especially in the wet winter, that fence could be installed as shown along there. Take it away, Mark.
All right. I'll just go over some of the civil aspects of the design, pick up where Scott left off. From a grading standpoint, as he mentioned, everything's going to be coming in off Ballston Road, so we're meeting existing grades all along this path of travel all the way up to the plaza. And we do have accessible parking up here in the plaza, so we're meeting that part of the compliance. However, we did also make sure that we did have accessible path of travel to and from the overflow parking, just in the case that we needed to provide additional parking from that point, or to get anybody from the plaza back to the public right away, even though this is a park. Grading for the site itself, we limited our slopes to 3-to-1, and that was only at pinch points. Everything else is much less steep than that, but that was with the intent of trying to get as much elevation to the starting points of both of the flow track, or sorry, what are these flow trails? Yeah. We made sure to keep all of our grading set back from the canal a minimum of 20 feet. That also keeps it outside of the easement along the east side, where she's got the pointer, and then 40 feet from the creek that runs through. So minimum of 40 feet from the creek, 20 feet from the other boundaries. Utilities on site will be water and sewer. Water will require an extension of sorts from Allison Parkway in order to provide service to the site. However, sewer will be able to tap into the existing sewer line that runs along the maintenance road. Drainage will be mostly following historical patterns, with the exception, obviously, that we are creating a hill, but it will flow towards the canal, or sorry, towards the creek. And around the perimeter, we intend to create a drainage flow line that will make its way back to the creek as well. Any areas that are currently, or sorry, proposed to be impervious will be treated via some sort of stormwater low impact design feature so that it will be treated prior to getting to the creek. The majority of the site is pervious, so won't require treatment, but there are some asphalt paving and concrete paving areas that will need to be treated. That's about it for me.
Great. Thank you.
In general, we have two types of amenities here. One is asphalt pump tracks and one is earthen flow trails. They're both intended to provide progression from young or less experienced riders to more advanced riders. If you goes to number 11, which is right there. So this is the start pad at the top of the hill for the beginner flow trails. Each amenity is designed to be ADA accessible, and so we have an accessible pathway to the top of 11 as our flow trail amenity with ADA accessibility. And then the riders will drop down. Easiest trail is far right, and they have options of merging to the left to go towards something more advanced. So each of the paths that goes from right to left takes them to a more advanced pathway. The finish corral is down at 39 there, and then they can take the return path either up through the center or around the west side. While we're here, we can stop at the beginner pump track, which is item 12. Probably 12,000 square feet or thereabouts. And then item 13 is the larger pump track. We're really seeing a lot of those get developed now with an asphalt surfacing, which really reduces your maintenance costs. So coming back to operations and management and maintenance, anything we can do with a hard surface, we do. On that note, as we go to the top, the second start hill there, we do put a polymer binder into the trail surfacing material. And what that does is it not only glues it together a little bit, but it also absorbs moisture from evening fog and higher humidity. And so it brings it to optimal moisture content throughout the day. As we know, it gets very dry here in the summers. We also know that, we can get winds either coming from northwest or coming from the east or due west. And so one of the reasons that we have this start hill for the advanced riders in the middle is so that they can drop down either to the south or they can drop down to the north, either way, and work with the wind in that way. So, we've kept it, we don't want to overpromise and underdeliver, and so we're not going into exactly which features are included in these trails. We want to make sure that we're managing expectations and budgets, and so we don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves with showing a whole bunch of unique features on the trails, but certainly there will be ongoing communication with stakeholders and with your teams and staff members if we're able to continue exploring this.
I believe we've walked through all the basic elements of the plan. At this point, I guess I would just ask if there's any questions for any of our design team about what you see on the plan there.
I think what I'd like to do first is open it up to the public.
Sure,
comments.
yep.
So is there anyone from the public that would like to speak on this item? You have 3 minutes, and if you could please state your name. Thank you. Yep. There you go.
Is my mic's on?
Yes, it
okay.
is.
Yeah, so Peter Harvey, lived in Vacaville 13 years and avid BMX bicycle rider, been doing it 10 years. Started as a little kid and then got out of it and then got married, had some kids of my own, and yeah, I've been doing it the past 10 years. I volunteer out at the Elk Grove Bike Park, been doing that for 5 years or so, and it's just really great community activity. Good for kids, good for adults. I ride with kids that are 6 years old, and then I ride with grandfathers that are in their 60s. So it's just great activity, really good to stay young and just active. So I love it. It's really fun, and I'm really excited about this bike park and excited to take my kids out there and just raise up the next generation. There's a lot of kids that ride these wheelie bikes in the streets, and I just see a lot of them gravitating toward this bike park. Something a little bit different than maybe what they do in the streets, but it's just something that I see that as kids get older, it's just a really positive outlet, especially if you don't want to do sports, recreational sports. It's just, you can really get those kids and yeah, all their energy just directed into something positive. So that's what happened to me, and yeah, I'm almost 40 and I still do it and still love it. So that's all I have to say. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Peter. Anyone else? 3 minutes, and please state your name. Thank you.
My name is Vince Kisande. I'm actually a resident of Fairfield, California, neighboring town. I'm an avid e-bike rider, and I'll, with the specificity of Class 1 e-bikes. I don't know what the history is here of what you guys have been talking about that, but I just want to commend everyone here. I'm a member of the Rockville Citizens Advisory Committee in Fairfield, and we've been trying to introduce e-bikes into our park in Fairfield. And it's a task. There's a lot of misinformation that's out there about e-bikes, classing them all in one. Anyways, like I said, I just want to commend all of you for getting this done. I'm right now in the infancy of putting together a committee to try and bring pump tracks and other types of bicycle-specific activities to our town. You know, not all kids are stick and ball sport kids. You know, I had an alternative sports kid myself. He became a pro motorcycle racer, but he also was involved in all the other stick and ball sports as well. So, you know, I'm proud of your community, your town here for taking this on and bringing this to your kids that, you know, choose this type of recreation. And I'm sure I'll be talking to some of you about what our plans are up there. So thank you.
Any other comments for the public? Hearing none, I'll bring it back to the commission. Are there any questions or comments of the commission? Commissioner McMahon.
Thank you, Chair. I have a whole list of questions. First off, I think it's an incredible plan. It's this is going to be a huge draw for this area and for Vacaville. So well done. I know we've talked about this for seems like several months, if not a year plus or so that you've been here, and thank you. I've sat at the community meetings as well. I know that the community and the stakeholders are excited about it, so thank you very much. I do have a few questions, and I think I've got the right people, but for Judd, you know, we watched the video at Boulder, obviously a beautiful area, different environment, different climate. You did state, you know, it's hot out here today. You know, how is that going to affect this park? You talked about the surface, the earth. Did I hear that correctly, that there's a polymer in the surface? So with, you know, I think you're from Vacaville, correct?
I grew up in Mendocino County.
Okay, well, you're familiar with this area where it could be a drought for 3 or 4 years and we have nothing.
100%.
Or it could rain for 3 or 4 years and we're flooded. How does that affect this and the terrain? And does this turn into a pond or what? How is that affected?
Well, the fine grading, speaking to impoundment first, we can fine grade this type of facility so that we don't impound water anywhere unless we have, say, a bioretention basin, which, you know, we collaborate with our civil team members on. We have shade structures at the top of the roll-ins. We have trees, and the joke that I always tell is, do you know the best time to plant a tree? The answer is 30 years ago. So we have all these mature trees planted here on this plan set, but it's going to take a long time for those to provide shade, right? Coming back to your surfacing material, you know, I say that you have a long-term relationship with your dirt. And after your professionals who build it come and then go, it's really important that we choose the right material. And we need to be cost conscious on the capital expense. We need to be cost conscious on the maintenance. We need to find the right match there. We're seeing a lot of flow and dirt jump trails that are being developed with asphalt landings now. We've developed a company that, I mean, all our company does is design and manufacture pre-engineered lips with wood decking on them to reduce the specialty maintenance that comes with the lips. In general, we want a surfacing material that works well in wet weather and in dry weather. You're definitely going to need to have closures during the wettest days to avoid impact on the trail surface. You know, one of my sons races motocross. We're Argyle quite a bit, and we're used to the winds and what comes with riding bikes in the air around here. I think that once you get this material to optimal moisture content and then you compact it, you know, generally we're compacting everything, you know, in San Francisco today, we're compacting to 90% Proctor, and we go through this process where I love having the geotechs out because they help us to get quality assurance. And so they test and test and test, and my guys are like, man, when are these guys going to leave? I'm like, well, I just keep calling them every day so they come back, right? So I think that if we get compaction correct, and if we get the material correct and we add some binders to it, we can do a really good job. There is always the option, and there may be grants available for this, to look at irrigation for the trails themselves. Generally, we do use water to reshape things. And, you know, if we're expecting people to do maintenance and it's totally dry, that's super challenging. We just don't have the cohesion without moisture. So we can look into that at this point. You know, this is basically a dry hill with native plantings. You know, I guess one thing I'll say to that, though, is develop trails for Woodward Tahoe, which is a summer camp up at the top of the pass on 80. And none of those trails are irrigated. They run camps there all summer long. And so there are, I think that, you know, maybe what we want to look to is what level of finish do we expect from these trails? And is it okay if they get a little bit chewed up? If we design it so that the flow is there, even if they're imperfect, then, you know, we can cater to a certain user group with full suspension bikes. If we want to build BMX jumps that are purely for hardtail BMX bikes, 60 PSI, very chattery feel on anything bumpy, it's going to be harder to build trails with resilience. But if we build something more towards a full suspension mountain bike, we might be able to have a much happier user group with less maintenance.
I would agree, and I think the city would be happy with that as well. That's a issue, obviously, because it equates to money, and that's always an issue as we look into the future, just maintaining it. So I think that's very important. I also noticed, like you said, the ramps, and I think you call them lifts. Some of them were wood, some of them you said are a hard surface now. What does the user prefer? Is there any preference that users would prefer?
I think that the users prefer something that flows really well, and they're quite flexible or adaptable when it comes to the exact materials used, the exact surfacing, etc. So I think that asphalt needs to, I would hold back on that level of surfacing, and I'd watch some of your peers who are going after that and see how it wears in on larger projects. I think that there's a lot of there are so many mountain bikers in California, and my family, we split our time between British Columbia and California. And compared to British Columbia, there is nowhere to ride here. There are places, but you have a market here which is, there's a ton of latent demand. And I think that if we choose to cater to a specific market with the angle of the jumps, with the distance of the jumps, with trails that they're able to maintain momentum on a little bit easier, reduce our user group's expectation of maintenance or perfection rather, then we can create something really, really fun. Happy to keep talking about that.
Sure. No, I appreciate that. Obviously, just looking at it from the city side, I mean, whatever safety-wise and money-wise, I mean, those are things we have to consider in the future.
So as we're discussing it, I guess what I'm thinking is, and what's nice is we haven't gone too far with the design, but I could see having, because, you know, I mean, one of our most passionate speakers here rides a BMX bike. I don't want to exclude anyone.
Sure.
So maybe we look at a smaller area that is specifically for BMX bikes. We know it's going to take more maintenance, but we look at that and we say, yeah, this is going to be a BMX community spot. We want to provide this for, you know, your families, for the next generation, et cetera. We don't want to set the expectation that, you know, How many feet across is the from north to south? Having a couple thousand feet of lineal distance in a BMX trail is going to be a lot of work for anybody. I don't think any BMXer, even, I mean, I've got guys from Pennsylvania and Austin, Texas, and those are like BMX hotspots. And these guys, they've built X Games, they've built Dew Tour, and they're all over in San Francisco right now. Those guys don't want to maintain that either. And they have these amazing backyard kind of pirate spots, which are frankly pretty brilliant. And so I like the idea of being inclusive and also having certain spots for certain levels of finish. Maybe that's where we end up going.
Right. One of our community members from the public spoke and talked about these kids that are riding around on wheelie bikes, through town.
Yeah.
I could see that, hey, come on out to this park, but I could also see that not being good at the park or interfering with what that park is designed for. So I don't know, is there an area for a wheelie park that we can squeeze into these things? I don't know if that's an issue or not, but I know it's an issue on our city streets through town.
Yeah, I appreciate the manager's dilemma with that. And I appreciate their passion for freedom and wanting to make a statement too. I guess without speaking negatively about what they're most passionate about right now, I think that, this is my son's first year racing World Cup downhill, and he's over in Austria right now. And there's a lot of room to take the skill set that they're learning, doing what they are right now, and take that to a new setting and take that to the highest levels of competition or freestyle or whatever it is. So if we can give them that opportunity, I think, and how do you sell that to a group that's very independent? I'm not exactly sure. I mean, it's going to be some sort of trendsetter event where someone that, people have respect for goes and rides stuff, and they're like, oh, that guy's there, I want to go be there. And maybe they can convert what they're doing into something that maybe has less friction with other community members. I wouldn't want to take anything away from them, but we can certainly give them.
I appreciate that very much. Thank you. Just a couple comments. I think shade is important out there. It's hot. You experienced Vacaville heat in the last 2 days, and it's very hot out there, and it's probably warmer out in that area. It's warm.
If I could just interject real quick, I apologize. Chair, we need to close public comment.
Oh, great. We will close public comment.
Great, thank you. The park, I'm assuming, I've never been to a bike park like this, but I know signage must be important, just getting everybody in the right direction so nobody gets hurt. One last thing here, the fencing part of it. It was stated that fencing around a park like this really hasn't been done or is not done. My question is, this park is people's backyards. You can open your gate and be in this park in 30 seconds for some people. It would seem pretty tempting if somebody had a dirt bike or a ATV to possibly use that. So is that an issue anywhere? Are these parks built this close to neighborhoods? Are they typically more remote areas? Do you see it being an issue?
Definitely want them to be close to neighborhoods, and that's a major goal. We don't see too many problems with dirt bikes. We see more problems with RC cars, and we also have challenges with more high-powered e-bikes called Surons. And I think that, in 10 years, you may or may not still be on the commission, but you're going to say, wow, the Suron things, I remember hearing about those one day. And it is going to be a challenging management process. with those. I guess, you know, I grew up riding dirt bikes, and Georgia Pacific and Louisiana Pacific land, I knew every skid trail all over the place. I think it's very hard to keep people out if they really want to be there.
Right.
So I guess I like the idea of split rail fencing, aesthetic fencing. I think that, you know, you could go spend $750,000 on a fence and there's still a guy in there tomorrow. And so, you know, if we make it look like, you'd have to make it look like a jail for it to work. And I don't think that that's what the neighbors really want. And so I do think if we make it as popular as we possibly can, and then we have community members that care about it and they're out there often enough. I think that's what, you know, I think maybe the reason that we see dirt bike use or quad use out in Centennial now in the lesser used areas is because we don't really have community engagement of taking ownership of that. And so, back. We're very involved in motorsports in our family. So we're not the problem. So I don't really, you know, because we're so passionate about it. And so I can't say that I absolutely understand what those motorsports users are looking for. Then just back to the heat item, you know, we built a great park in Mesa, Arizona, just east of Phoenix. It's the hottest place I've ever been. 110, I'd be out there at 5 a.m. putting flags in the ground. We use the same binder there. I don't believe they have water there, same ramps. And it's super popular. People love it. It has endured the test of time. And so, you know, no matter how hot it is, it's hotter in Mesa.
Thank you. Thanks.
Any other questions or comments from the commission? Yeah, Commissioner Frazier.
So I was just recently up in Spokane. So my son and daughter live there, and daughter-in-law, and they have a really great city BMX park there in Spokane. And so it was awesome to see. So this is like a great, you know, park and an idea. It'll be really awesome for the community. And so I was wondering about that BMX idea as well. And like, could something like that fit in there? You know, because it wasn't a huge footprint for this BMX part. But
a racetrack, or was it?
It was a racetrack.
A racetrack.
The community could use it in off times and stuff like that.
So where the red dot is there is item 30. And that is included in your CEQA planning. And it is a area that we've set aside. And if you have Sur-Ron challenges, you can put a Sur-Ron track there. If you want a BMX race facility, you can put a BMX race facility there. So we've set that aside, making sure that it's included in your master plan. And certainly, so a BMX racetrack, as you know, it's not a huge footprint, but it is a footprint, right? And I think because of the public-private partnership with Landify looking to create a hill, that would put a, so I think that just to the west would be where, and in fact, we did have community engagement with stakeholders that they go to the Napa BMX track and they're super into it. It takes a while for that community to develop to a point where they're ready to grow and foster, build, and manage a race facility. And they're out there, and we do have a spot set aside for them.
Thanks.
Commissioner Berman, any comments?
No.
I do have a few questions and comments. First of all, I just wanted to say I really like this project. I think that we've assembled a really great team of experts, and I feel I've been involved from pretty much the beginning and been very impressed with the level of expertise and the design and the community outreach that we received. So I, you know, applaud all of you. Really excited to see this. Just a couple questions. Now this project was presented as a no cost project to the city, But that was somewhat dependent upon the design and the programming, the plan here. And I just wanted to ask the question, as the plan is presented today, do you anticipate any need for other sources of funds, or are we still within budget?
No, we really tailored the project to that. So that's also why you can see that it's higher. It's also making sure that we have the volumes to cover the cost that we'll have. And again, we've been funding also the important first part, which are all the studies that are required to make sure that everything's okay.
My next question, I just wanted to clarify as I read the staff report that there was some mention that it would take 3 to 5 years perhaps to source all of the dirt, meaning that the project wouldn't be constructed till within that time frame?
Yeah, we're being cautious. We're talking about 900,000 cubic yards of dirt that we need to import. So that's a massive volume. So it's just, it will depend, and we're just making sure that we manage expectations also. So that's what we have, given the current market of the dirt in the area, that's what we have as an assumption, conservative assumption, but we just want to manage expectations and make sure that, we don't deceive people.
How far out do you source the dirt from Vacaville?
So it's really going to depend on the season. It's really going to depend on the market. Today, the dirt market is pretty down. So not a lot of constructions given the economic environment. But it also depends on if things are turning. And so depending on the season, dirt can come all the way from San Francisco up to here. But most likely it's really going to come from the region. So here, or the region around Napa, all the areas that are building today and are really desperately looking for areas to get rid of dirt. So we are obviously sourcing primarily around Vacaville, and you also have a couple of projects in Vacaville. So we're also working closely with the city to try to make sure that we funnel the dirt to the Centennial Park. But we're really looking at the broad region and down to the bay.
Just a couple other things. I really like the idea of Judd being perhaps available to help us put together a long-term maintenance plan and risk management plan. I think that'll really be key. Hugh, could you address? I'm trying to recall our conversations about how we handle e-bikes. Do we still? Where are we at with?
Yes, that's a really good question. City doesn't have a code that really addresses that if they do not meet the definition of a motor vehicle in the California Vehicle Code. Our rangers have been instructed to not prohibit Class 1 and Class 2 e-bikes from our trails, for example, out in Lagoon Valley Park. You heard one gentleman mention the exclusion of that. I think he was referring to Rockville. Is that right?
Put it on a 6-month.
Oh.
Because it's related to other issues.
Yeah.
Rangers.
Okay.
Council was all.
So the Class 1s and the Class 2s are very similar in their capability to a human-propelled bicycle, but it does allow, what I see is that it allows folks who don't have the endurance or the physical capability of riding the hills of now, it's open, that activity is open to them. Similar to perhaps if you can't walk down the sidewalk, you can use a wheelchair. So it's allowing people to engage in an activity they otherwise might not be able to do. When you get to the higher powered bikes, they start to fall closer in line with, as Judd mentioned, the motor propelled bikes, and they can cause more damage. They can go faster. They can carry more weight. They are heavier themselves, so they themselves it take longer to stop. There's a lot of differences in the way they act than a human-propelled bicycle. So I anticipate that we will need to develop, the city will need to develop some city code that addresses this, but it's a constantly changing situation with the technology that's available. I mean, as soon as the manufacturers are required to put the type of bicycle that an e-bike is on the frame. But how do you regulate that when someone home builds their own bike? I've built bicycles my entire life. I've had 50 to 100 bicycles, and who could tell whether the frame came from one source or another? So it gets down to really just a more practical approach, I think. Does it work or does it not work? And that's what we'll have to jostle with. As I think Judd mentioned to me, correct me if I'm wrong, Judd, that most of the enthusiasts that we anticipate will not be riding electrified bikes. Is that correct?
I think the most important thing that you mentioned is that things are changing and evolving so quickly that an adaptive management plan is going to be your greatest friend in managing this type of use. Generally speaking, an e-bike will help you a lot to get back to the top, and it'll allow you to have a lot more laps. Going down the hill, it won't help you very much.
Class 1 or Class 2 you're talking about typically?
I don't know the difference. I'm not fully into it, but I would go for the more powerful one, whatever that is. And it's not really going to help you to hit the jumps better. It's actually in my experience, it's pretty challenging to hit big jumps on an e-bike because you're pedaling and you have assistance. And then when you set up for the jump, you stop pedaling and it's way heavier and it slows down a lot right before the lip. And so I don't know if I would prefer to ride one or another. You will definitely have a lot of people that want to ride e-bikes out here, and I think that's okay. So I guess where I'm at with it is I think that e-bikes that do not have a throttle, and maybe even someday e-bikes that do have a throttle, I don't know, I'd keep an open mind to it and identify where you have issues and where you don't. If you were to keep Class 1 and Class 2 e-bikes out of here, you would create a management fracas out there that would be super challenging to, you can barely identify that it is an e-bike at this point. Like you look at the frame and it's almost, at the first World Cup in Fort William, e-bikes are not allowed. Martin Mays raced an e-bike with the motor and the battery removed in the elite class because they're almost identical. Like you couldn't really differentiate between the two. So I would say that the best approach is to allow e-bikes within reason, and if you need to change it, have it set up so it's almost a staff change. It shouldn't have to go back to council. Allow staff to be able to
I'm sorry, we've closed the public comment, unfortunately. Great, any other discussion? Great, so this is an action item. We have three options to approve the concept plan with changes to be noted, deny the concept plan, but ask for it to be modified and brought back to the commission another time, or to deny the concept plan altogether.
Actually, Chair, there is one recommendation. It's on the screen. The other items were alternates, should the commission decide not to move forward with the staff recommendation.
I'm sorry, repeat that again?
There is only one recommendation by staff. It's on the screen right now. The items you mentioned were alternates, should the commission decide that they would choose not to move forward with the
Okay,
staff
I was
recommendation.
reading that out of the staff report.
Right, those are alternate actions, yes.
Alternate,
But
okay.
there is one staff recommendation.
Okay, great. So do I have a motion?
By simple motion, recommend the Parks and Rec Commission approve the concept plan for Centennial Bike Park.
I'll second that.
Great. So I have a motion by Commissioner McMahon and a second by Commissioner Fraser to approve the concept plan for the Centennial Bike Park. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Hugh, and thank you, team.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate the discussion. Moving on to business item 8B, presentation of the Parks and Recreation Department's proposed fiscal year 2024-25 operating budget and capital improvement program budget. Interim Director Megar Smith, would you please introduce the item?
Sure, thank you, Chair. You actually just did a great job of introducing the next item, and we have Eric Laro, our management analyst, to present the proposed budget for you.
Good evening, Chair and Commissioners. Tonight I will be presenting Parks and Recreation's proposed department programming and capital improvement program budgets for fiscal year 24-25. So I'll begin with a staffing update and organizational chart, and then I'll provide current state and historical budget performance numbers. Next, we'll take a look at how the budget is distributed across expense and budget division types, followed by this year's proposed Measure M and CIP budgets. Finally, I will close out with current department grants and budget highlights. The department currently has 26 full-time positions and around 200 part-time employees. We are actively in recruitment for our 2 vacant full-time supervisor positions and are not requesting any additional positions at this time for the upcoming fiscal year. The chart on this slide provides a 5-year comparison of department expenditures and revenues. Parks and Rec continues to see growth in participation, leading to favorable outcomes for revenue. This year, expenses are 5% higher when compared to last year, and revenue is up 8% as of Q3. Program registrations are also up 26% with 24,457 registrations compared to last year's 19,423. Next fiscal year, we're anticipating a positive yet slower growth due to factors such as economic uncertainty and limited program space and activity capacities. We are proposing a 2.6% expenditure increase in line with the Consumer Price Index for fiscal year 24-25 and project a 3.6% growth in revenue. Our cost recovery is estimated to grow by 1% compared to last fiscal year. Parks and Recreation's proposed general fund operating budget, excluding Measure M for fiscal year 24-25, is just over $10 million. 34% of this budget pays for full-time staff and benefits. 27% funds supply and service costs, 25% funds part-time staffing, and the remaining 14% pays for indirect costs such as utilities and bank fees. This chart shows how that $10 million is then distributed across our department program divisions. So pay-to-play programs receive the largest portion with 35%. Administration and facilities both make up 28% of the distribution, and the remaining 9% is utilized for our community well-being programming. The department's revenue projection for fiscal year 24-25 is a little over $5 million. 75% of program revenue comes from our pay-to-play program registrations, followed by facility rental fees at 19%, and the remaining 6% is received through community well-being programs. Our proposed administration budget for the upcoming fiscal year is $2.8 million. This funds essential department functions such as park planning, department recruiting, marketing, budget administration, and front counter staffing at our community centers. Some major activities happening in the upcoming fiscal year include the implementation of the outcomes from the ongoing organization assessment, the completion of several park improvement projects, and the design of incoming new parks, as well as the Arts and Culture Master Plan. Our pay-to-play program category recovers all activity costs through registration fees and aims to contribute to department overhead costs. The proposed budget for fiscal year 24-25 is $3.4 million, and revenues are projected at just under $3.8 million. This category, which includes sports, gymnastics, and youth services, continues to see growth and participation in record numbers. Staff overseeing these program areas plan to support this growth in the upcoming fiscal year by offering new programming such as spikeball and pickleball, as well as increasing the amount of tournament offerings in sports and a gymnastics ninja event utilizing newly acquired ninja equipment in an American Ninja Warrior style format, and additional parents' night out activities and youth services. The proposed fiscal year 24-25 facilities budget is $2.8 million, and the projected revenues are just under $1 million. While revenues in this category have not caught up to the rise in costs due to inflation, to meet the longstanding goal of 50% cost recovery, we are seeing improvement and increased activity due to successful events staff has brought to our centers, such as the Georgia Duke Boxing Tournament and the Vacaville Performing Arts Theater grant, which is fully allocated and has assisted 77 performance art clients to showcase their talent, including 20 new clients, 38 nonprofit applicants, and 17 clients from outside of Solano County. This year, staff plan to continue bringing new events such as a bridal fair at Ulatis Community Center, in addition to facility improvements such as vending machine replacements at Ulatis, Three Oaks, and McBride Community Centers. This year, we've experienced a lot of success in the planned expansions of our community well-being offerings, such as monthly active aging events, Paint on Main event, and the two-day Vacaville event. The proposed expenditure budget for this category for fiscal year 24-25 is $885,000, with revenues being projected at a little over $300,000. In the upcoming fiscal year, staff continue planning to increase equity and inclusion in recreation through providing access to as many residents as possible. Active Aging and Adaptive Recreation are now both offering membership models, which allow for participants to join in on many program offerings for one simple, affordable price. Special Events plans to expand the Paint on Main event into a fully realized multicultural art festival. And this year we have a dual lineup with Quad City DJs and Club Nouveau for our year-end Creek Walk concert on August 17th. For fiscal year 24-25, in addition to the existing allocations of Measure M for 4 full-time staff positions and the highly successful Recreation Scholarship Program, Parks and Rec is proposing continued funding to host the Merriment on Main Tree Lighting Festival for the second year in a row. This budget will cover the costs of staffing, supplies, and services for the event. For the upcoming fiscal year, project managers within the department are motivated to complete existing capital improvement program projects that will bring Vacaville residents new park amenities. As a result, our focus this year is to attain sufficient funding to see these projects through completion of construction. Our proposed CIP budget for fiscal year 24-25 includes augmentations to Vanden Meadows Neighborhood Park, Sierra Vista Neighborhood Park, Ulatis Community Center, and the Vacaville Performing Arts Theater existing CIPs. Due to the current state of the budget, Parks and Rec is proposing to utilize internal resources, such as the facilities and theater improvement funds, to assist in funding the facility-related projects, as there's limited availability to Measure M and the general fund. In addition, there are some other CIP projects that are slated to be completed in the upcoming fiscal year, so just wanted to highlight those, including Lagoon Valley Dog Park improvements, the Lagoon Valley Archery Range improvements, and then Trower, Nascimesto, and Corderos Park improvements. Parks and Recreation is currently managing grant funding that is enabling the department to carry out much needed programs and projects. The per capita grant is providing partial funding for the Lagoon Valley Archery Range project. The Habitat Conservation Fund is supporting our Wilderness 101 outdoor summer camps, as well as a pond restoration project at the Pina Adobe Historic Area slated to start this upcoming fiscal year. In addition, the department is pursuing grant funding to assist with the art installation component of the Trower Park Improvements Project and a digital literacy grant which would upgrade available technology at the McBride Senior Center and provide our senior population with programming to equip participants with modern computer and technology skills. Parks and Recreation is looking forward to the upcoming year, which will provide the community with additional programming, events, and increased access to our program offerings through membership models and the continued Recreation Scholarship Program. The department is working hard to increase the number of time slots and activity sessions whenever possible to respond to the demand of recreation. Staff is also eager to complete many of the ongoing capital improvement projects, which will bring new amenities and outdoor space for residents to enjoy. These initiatives, in combination with staff training programs and opportunities, are aimed to ensure that the department is operating at the highest level of efficiency and responsiveness that we can offer. And this concludes my presentation for the evening. I'm happy to take any questions from the public or the commission.
Great, thank you, Eric. I'd like to open it up to the public for any comments on this agenda item. Hearing none, we'll close the public comment period. I'll turn to the commission and ask if they have any questions or comments on this item. Commissioner Frazier.
I just have one. I've always kind of wondered this about, budgets and city budgets in terms of like cost recovery. So I know the projected was like a 51% cost recovery. What is that like in other communities? How does that compare? I mean, is there a way to check that? I've always wondered that.
Sure. So it does vary greatly, and that's just because every community kind of has different aspects to Parks and Recreation departments. We do see it fluctuate anywhere from 20% up to around 50 or 60% where we see. That largely depends on if there are, like for example, in Vacaville, our park maintenance team is a part of Public Works. So they're not included in the Parks and Recreation budget, so we don't count those costs in our cost recovery figures. Some agencies, their park maintenance team is in the Parks and Recreation department, and that's a huge cost that doesn't contribute to revenue. So that kind of makes their cost recovery lower. So it's a little hard to do apples to apples.
Historically, is this kind of a typical range historically that Vacaville has been?
It is actually, so I joined the department in 2020, so peak COVID when all recreation programming was shut down, and that really impacted cost recovery, and we were not anywhere near 50%. But historically, we're always around that 50 to 60% range, so we're seeing it grow back into what we've seen prior to that event.
Good, thanks. I was always curious about that.
Thank you, Commissioner Frazier. Any other questions or comments? I just have one just to echo the discussion on cost recovery. I think it's also really important that with cost recovery, the goal isn't 100% cost recovery in some instances, because you might create fees and charges for different programs that cause it to not be viable. So, I mean, that's important, but I've always been impressed with that. Great. Well, if there's no further discussion, this is, let's see, this is just for information only, so thank you.
Thank you.
So next on the agenda are committee reports. Item 9A is Play for All committee from Commissioner Shea, but Commissioner Shea is not in attendance. Maybe I can just turn to staff and see if there's any reports to add to that. Okay. Seeing none, we'll move on to 9B, Youth Sports Advisory Team. Commissioner Vasquez is absent tonight, but she was kind enough to forward her comments to me, so I will provide her her report tonight. So USAC met on May 15th, and the leagues are wrapping up their season play and preparing for postseason play. The Parks and Recreation staff discussed with the leagues that the postseason walkthroughs of the fields and concessions and have requested that the leagues communicate any issues that need to be fixed or resolved before the next season. So that's good. There's new shade structures will be going up, one at Centennial and one at Arlington in mid-July. And installation should be quick. It looks like it'll only take a couple days. Parks and Recreation staff notified the leagues of a new code of conduct policy that the city will be putting together and piloting during the basketball league, and will use it will be used during the upcoming fall baseball to help rectify any conduct issues with players, coaches, and spectators. The staff feel that this will also help in retaining critical Parks and Recreation staff, referees, and umpires who will help make sure these programs exist. I did request that commissioners receive this update. It's currently available on the Civic Rec site at the time of the registration for programs. And then other notes from the league, they request that the city maintain pest services during off-season around the concession area. And they've also noticed more squatters this season on the fields. I'm guessing squatters as in homeless Any comments? And then lastly, Pony will again be hosting the International Mustang 9U World Series this year, which is very exciting. They encourage the community to come out and watch the teams play for some great baseball at Keating Park, and that'll be July 19th through the 22nd. Great. So that concludes that report. Are there any questions or comments on that report? Hearing none, we'll move to item 9C, Vacaville Performing Arts Theater Show Selection Committee, which is, I serve on that committee. Nothing significant to report. We have other than we have a couple other acts that we're looking to perhaps sign, a country band, a jazz band, to round out our offerings for the season, and possibly a true crime podcast. But I wanted to remind everyone, already slated is Jimmy Vaughn and the Tilt-A-Whirl Band, which is Sunday, October 6th. Nick Carter's Who Am I Tour is scheduled for Sunday, October 20th. And then we're really excited about Sean Calvin and KT Tungstol are performing on Saturday, November 9th as well. So it's looking to be a great season. Questions or comments from the commission? Great. Moving on, reports of the park manager. Wallace?
Good evening, Chair Oz, commissioners. Help me, who? No, I'm just kidding. No, I don't need help. I was just thought you might want to do it for me.
I'll help you if you need it.
No, we're good. A couple things for you guys tonight. My audience, they left. So the highly anticipated and longly awaited North Orchard pickleball conversion was completed, and I would concur with the people who were in the crowd tonight, and it looks beautiful out there. It was the contractor that we selected did a great job. The lines are crisp. Everything has been put into spec, and we're just happy to finally get the pickleball community the amenities that they needed. So that's one. And then secondly, we have the fitness course at Southwood Park has been refurbished, and new amenities have been added in some places. That's all I have for you tonight. Any questions or comments?
Great. Any questions for Wallace? Commissioner Ruman.
Yeah. I want to be relaxed as Wallace coming in shorts. I left mine at home. But regarding South Orchard, yeah, the pickleball courts came out spectacular. I know some of them brought in some possible wants as far as having storage out there and stuff like that. Is that going to be possible? Parts of Rec?
All right. That's something that they would need to discuss with the staff at Parks and Rec about the usage of the park and the facility out there.
Other than that, it looked beautiful out there. Probably be glad that it's all done now, huh?
We are.
Thank you.
Great. Any other questions? Thank you, Wallace. Great. Wallace, and moving on to agenda item 11, reports of the park planner, Hugh Hesterman.
Well, good evening again. I'm going to report a few things between Nemo and myself. We have a few things that are worthy of your attention. One is the Corderos Phase 2 and Nascimesto Phase 2 will be going out to bid probably within the next 2 weeks. So we are very anxious about that. Those have both been long awaited. Eric referred to those in his presentation. Also at Lagoon Valley Park, we have the combined projects of the archery range reorientation and the dog park improvements and expansion. We received bids this just Tuesday, a couple days, or yesterday, I guess it was. Unfortunately, they were, the low bid came in, we only had 2, and the low bid came in higher than what our budget is. So we're going to have to sharpen our pencils a little bit and see if we can cut a few things out of those projects. But those are, I think we'll be able to move forward with both of those very soon. And then finally, good news is that the Phase 1 of Roberts Ranch Community Park is now open for the public's use. That is the dog park, large area and small dog area, off-leash areas, available both from off of Fry Road, there's a little parking lot there, or from inside the subdivision. So that concludes my report for the night.
Great. Commissioners, any questions of Hugh? Hearing none, we'll move to reports of the Recreation Manager, Melody Ocampo. Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening, Commission. All right, I've got just a few program highlights for you this evening. Tracy, if we could move on to our first slide here. We've got our second annual Juneteenth celebration at the McBride Senior Center coming up on Monday, June 17th from 10 to 12. Encourage all of you commissioners in the community to come out. We've got some speakers from City Council, a former Park and Rec commissioner who will be joining us, and a representative from Solano Black Chamber of Commerce who will also be bringing a short film for us to enjoy. And then some refreshments will be sponsored by District 5 through the Community Benefit Program funds. Next slide. Keeping on topic with our fabulous active aging population, we've got a Support Vacaville Senior programs. We have partnered with the San Francisco Giants, and this is a fundraiser to support senior programming. So we encourage the community to show their support. $5 from every ticket purchased for this game that is happening on July 14th. Twins at the Giants will go towards Vacaville Senior programming. So again, that's $5 for every ticket sold using the link. We sent out a big e-blast on this actually today. So we just encourage folks to get some friends together, go enjoy a great ball game, and know that you're also supporting our senior community here. So tickets start at $27 and go up from there if you really need to be, up front and seeing the action up close. And bonus, there's a free Logan Webb Tiki mug if you're one of the first 20,000 fans to enter the stadium. All right. And then next up, of course, I would be remiss if I didn't mention our Creek Walk concert series. I know we're all very familiar with this, and many of us are excited. This starts next Friday, June 14th, with Whiskey and Honey. We've got a great lineup this season. We've got a lot of marketing materials out on that, so the list is out there, and you can get that online at CityofVacaville.gov/creekwalk. One friendly reminder to those folks are teachers, police, military, first responders, and healthcare personnel. We do have some appreciation nights where they're free admission when you show a valid ID. So encourage folks to come out and really take advantage of that and join us on those evenings. So, and all those dates are publicized, and encourage folks to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Vacaville Rec and get all that information. And then, of course, our summer camps starting next week. The kids are out of school and they need a fun place to go and enjoy and burn off all that energy. And we've got a ton of those activities for them. So from our Camp Splash, you see some kids here on the right in that photo, to some of our programs. We've got stuff for preschoolers, kindergartners, 1st through 6th, teens, specialty stuff, Lego, cooking, coding, art and science, diving, gymnastics, and a wide range of sports programs. So there's a little something for everyone. As Jennifer mentioned earlier, that's what we do. I encourage folks to take a look at our summer events guide and find a camp for your kiddo. And then our Vaca Triathlon, or Vaca Tri, as it is known out there. This was hosted for the second time this year on May 19th. Kristen Milligan, our recreation coordinator, did a fabulous job once again. And I know Commissioner Frazier, you are a big part of getting that event going and out there volunteering that day. So thank you very much. I know we couldn't do it without you. So I just wanted to highlight this event. There were 62 youth who participated in the event, and we gave away 6 bikes for free, really through the CMF program, but coordinated that to make sure that those bikes got to the participants who needed them in order to participate, and then therefore get to continue to have those bikes to use not only for this event, but moving forward and hopefully one day at the new bike park. So that is my last official slide. I will open it up for questions, but before I do, we've got a little bonus, a video from our adaptive recreation programs. It's a new membership model that we have just rolled out, and the Parks and Rec Department has been working with the media team in the city manager's office to put together a video that highlights these programs and talks about what we are offering for the community. So with that, I'm going to let the media team, there we go, hit play.
My oldest son was diagnosed with autism, and we recently moved to the area just a few years ago, and we're looking for activities for him to do and be involved in and meet other friends his age. And I had found the Vacaville Parks and Rec Adaptive Recreation Program online.
Adaptive recreation is programming for all in the community, including individuals in the community with special needs and autism, Down syndrome, cerebral palsy. We will accommodate all the classes and make sure everybody is included. A full program where participants are sitting there communicating with each other, sharing their experiences in the community, having fun, making connections where they can share with one another, basically being a support system with each other.
When he's getting the opportunities to meet new friends and learn new forms of art, it makes him excited.
We have our Spring Fling dance for individuals with disabilities. Of course, everybody is welcomed at our events. It's always great to see all the different levels of capabilities at our events.
There's a play area, the music, the dance floor.
We offer different sensory toys throughout the event to be able to ensure that everybody has some fidgets to play with to de-stimulate everything throughout the day. On top of that, everybody is able to speak with other community members within their own caregivers, and it's really nice for all of them to be able to make more friends.
Turns out today I've made a new friend named Madison.
So he makes friends and he enjoys it. In this kind of environment, you don't have to explain the behavior to anybody or be self-conscious about any behaviors.
We offer classes available for everybody in the community, starting from 6 months old all the way up to 99. Anyone can come, and we do separate some of our programs to be able to allow the adults to be with the adults, the teens to be with teens, and the youth to be with youth.
Our therapeutic creativity class is something where we meet up once a month. We have different themed crafts that we do together, normally to be themed around a holiday for the month or the season. And we all join together and we use our motor skills and our hands to get in and feel the sensory and the textures, paint and get creative, and really just bounce off one another, have a social setting. We have our toddler sensory exploration, our kids sensory exploration, and we also have our summer sensory summer camp. It allows the individuals to go in there, play around, and see what their actual sensory needs are. Our membership model is something that we're offering to all the participants to be able to make sure that they're getting programs at a lower rate, and they can go to at least minimum 5 classes per month by just paying one flat fee. People are still able to sign up for classes even if they are not enrolled in our membership model.
It's a fun, welcoming place. Our children will feel comfortable amongst their peers. The staff is all really friendly, and there are fun things to do.
Your kids will enjoy it. It's a welcoming environment. Give it a shot.
You know, he absolutely wants to come back. Like, every time we come, he asks when the next event is.
Yes, I think this is gonna go viral.
With that, I'll happily take any questions or comments.
Great. Any questions, Melody?
Thank you.
Great. Moving on to item 13, reports of the interim director.
Thank you, Chair and Commissioners. That's a tough act to follow with that adaptive video, but I'll give it a try. Tracy, next slide, please. I wanted to share a little bit about a citywide project with you. At the May 14th council meeting, council approved an agreement with NG to construct 8 solar PV sites on city property that will result in $23 million in energy savings over the next 25 years. Construction will take place over the next 18 months, so it's going to happen pretty fast. And in case you didn't have a chance to watch the council meeting, I wanted to share some of the renderings of what that will look like at our park and rec facilities. So here is a rendering of what it will look like at the Three Oaks Community Center. These are solar PV shade canopy structures, and you'll see them in our parking lot. So we'll be getting the energy savings as well as some shade in our parking lots. Next slide, Tracy. We've got McBride, and then we also have Ulatis Community Center, and then also Georgie Duke. And so at the 3 city, well, there's 4 of them actually, at the Park and Rec facility sites, the shade structures can't be installed with trees underneath them. So there will be some trees removed, approximately, got on my wrong page here, excuse me. So 88 trees will be removed as part of the project. The good news is that a total of 361 trees will be replaced as part of that project, 199 of which will be at Park and Rec sites as space allows. I wanted to let you know that if the space constraints prohibit reaching the required number of tree replacements for a particular site, a recommendation for the planting of these new trees, the balance of the trees would be developed by Parks and Rec and Public Works, and that would come back to the Parks and Rec Commission for consideration. And then I had a couple additional updates for you. T-ball opening ceremony is scheduled for Saturday, July 13th at 9 a.m. at Keating Park. You are all invited. Tracy will reach out to you with additional details and to check your availability. And then also we do have a vacancy now on the Arts Advisory Committee. A few members of the commission generally sit on the interview panel for that position. And so more to come on that, but just wanted to give you a heads up that we'll be looking for a few willing participants for that in the future. And that is it for me.
Thank you. Moving on to reports of the commissioners. Commissioner McMahon, would you like to start us off, please?
Yes, thank you very much, Chair. Again, thank you everyone for everything you do for Vacaville and our community. It's much appreciated. And I would just like to say congratulations to the class of 2024 on their graduation, and go out there. The world is yours. Be safe and have a great summer. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner McMahon. Next, we'll start with Commissioner Frazier.
Great. Yeah, and I think those graduations start tomorrow night. So, yeah. And Melody, just thanks. I was going to highlight the triathlon, and it went great, you know, and your staff and everyone did an awesome job. There were plenty of volunteers out there. So, and each year we just tweak it a little bit, you know, and find new things to, you know, kind of change and get better at. And so next year will be even better. So anyway, thanks. So.
Commissioner Bruman.
Just to echo the same thing from my fellow commissioners, again, we're very fortunate to be in Vacaville, and you guys do an awesome job. And yeah, the video killed it. And yeah, I definitely will be out there graduation day. My grandson's graduating this year, 2024. So yeah, it's been busy this whole week. Thank you.
Great. I am really excited for the summer to come. I think it's we have so many great events and activities and programs going on all year long, but it really is the summer where we start to get the demand for our parks and recreation programs really ratchets up. So, but I know that the staff are very well positioned to handle that. I'm really looking forward to the Creek Walk concert series. I try to attend a few of those every year in the 4th of July. Really looking forward to that. I wanted to just say how thanks to everyone that really was able to bring those new courts to the tennis and the pickleball community. I'm a follower on their Facebook page, and the responses and the comments to and the pictures after those facilities were finally done, they're just genuinely very, very excited. And so it's great to be able to serve that community that was underserved for quite a while. So we now are serving them well. I recall being out there playing pickleball with them, and they were having to take chalk and their own nets and they really did a great job with that. But it's nice that they have those permanent facilities. So thank you everyone for that great work. And then lastly, I'm also excited about the 9U World Series coming to Keating Park. And my understanding, I recall that there was really a request, because this is a really prestigious event, that we should really do our best to elevate Keating Park, do some improvements, and clean up the best that we can. And I know that we have done that. And I know Councilmember Chapman actually provided some money from her district towards that effort. So really looking forward. Thank you for everyone that did that. I think that really was a necessity, and I'm looking forward to being there for that event. And then lastly, just wanted to remind the commission that we do not have a meeting scheduled for July. We're off in July, so we'll see everybody back in August. So with there being no further business, I will adjourn to the next regular meeting on Wednesday, August 7th, 2024 at 6 p.m. Thank you, everyone, and good night, Vacaville.